What if I told you that the most profitable product in human history was not a life-saving medical breakthrough, but a simulated digital playground where you spend real money to buy a fictional jet you can never actually touch? Welcome to Money's Hidden Past. Today we are ripping open the massive corporate vault of Grand Theft Auto V, the digital massive gaming empire that turned violent pixels into $8 billion of cash. To truly understand how a simple video game outgrossed Hollywood, we must travel back to the highly ambitious year of 2013, when Rockstar Games placed the most expensive bet spending roughly $265 million on one project. At the time, that astronomical development budget was absolutely unheard of in the industry, significantly more expensive than movie Avatar, essentially doubling the production budget of almost every other game, proving Rockstar was orchestrating an unprecedented and massive global event. The notoriously secretive executives at Take-Two Interactive bet everything they spent years meticulously building a massive digital sunny California, hiring thousands of highly stressed developers to handcraft details from the exact smoggy sunlight to the ambient ocean noise. They paid licensed musicians and recorded thousands of voice hours building a physics engine that perfectly simulated a living economy, while the traditional financial world watched in total utter disbelief and deeply wondered if the arrogant developers had lost minds. But when the massive cultural behemoth finally launched in September, the global market response was something the world never saw. The game earned a completely staggering $800 million in its first day, violently shattering every single sales record within just 72 hours of the massive midnight launch. The video game officially crossed the coveted 1 billion mark, reaching that massive financial milestone completely faster than any film, leaving the absolute biggest Hollywood cinematic franchises completely behind forever. This single piece of digital code proved gaming became dominant, completely overshadowing the traditional movie and music industries combined globally. It was a cultural explosion that translated into immediate cash, with millions happily handing over their 60 hard-earned dollars. This provided Rockstar and its massive parent company Mountain Cash that would have been more than enough to satisfy boards, but the incredibly wealthy people sitting in high executive suites had a much more devious and highly profitable strategy waiting. The executives at Take-Two realized selling once was outdated, a purely transactional retail relationship, ending the moment customers left, and they absolutely wanted to fundamentally turn their digital playground into a massive, completely permanent, and extremely lucrative revenue machine. This inherently greedy corporate desire directly led to online multiplayer, a massive digital world that was initially a broken mess when it officially launched weeks after the single-player campaign. But hidden deep inside was a brilliant, terrifying financial innovation. That single multiplayer mode would fundamentally change the entire industry because developers introduced a completely fictional digital currency inside game, which you could theoretically earn by playing for exhausting hours, or you could bypass the terrible grind using real money. They introduced the infamous and incredibly lucrative digital shark cards, which explicitly allowed regular players to spend their actual wealth, effectively allowing impatient people to quickly, lazily buy their way. Instead of actually playing the video game, they already owned. This brilliant mechanism created a highly predatory, flawless psychological loop where players constantly felt immense, unrelenting social pressure to compete, buying flashy new digital supercars and completely useless luxury yachts, leading to hundreds of millions in recurring revenue. Every year, the corporate executives brilliantly realized that basic human vanity pays, and the intense desire for digital status was infinitely profitable. So Rockstar completely abandoned their planned single-player expansion content and focused every single ounce of corporate energy on online. They began releasing a completely endless stream of free updates that systematically introduced incredibly expensive new digital toys into economy, adding highly militarized flying motorcycles and massive underground doomsday bunkers that cost absolutely millions of artificially inflated digital game dollars. The developers mathematically engineered the entire economy to be frustrating, knowing perfectly well that many players with actual full jobs would much rather quickly buy a digital card for 20 than actively spend 40 hours of real-life grinding missions. It was an absolute masterclass in highly advanced behavioral economics, seamlessly turning a massive one-time physical retail box purchase into a highly permanent and extremely profitable digital live service, generating infinitely more pure, unadulterated profit from small microtransactions daily, making the violent video game a massive permanent cash resident on the public corporate balance sheet. But incredibly greedy, executives absolutely did not stop at simply engineering highly addictive microtransactions to keep the massive global money printing machine operating optimally. They brutally realized they could literally sell the exact game to the exact same loyal people multiple times over again by porting the digital experience across 3 entirely separate generations of highly advanced home console hardware, effectively conquering the market. This highly aggressive strategy ensured that the game remained inescapable. First, they completely conquered the aging PlayStation 3 console era, making billions of dollars on the tail end of generation before quickly turning around and preparing to milk modern consoles. Then, they slightly remastered the exact fundamental game for PlayStation, adding slightly better environmental graphics and brand new camera modes to easily convince hardcore fans they absolutely desperately needed it. Leading to another massive, unprecedented global wave of copies sold, and incredibly, in 2022, they did the unthinkable by audaciously releasing the exact same aging video game, third, porting the highly outdated structural title to brand new hardware, proving beyond doubt that vulnerable people are entirely willing payers for the exact same digital experience. The corporate executives smile this highly aggressive corporate strategy of extreme operational longevity releases is virtually entirely unique in the highly competitive gaming industry, where most expensive video games are entirely forgotten within years. But Grand Theft Auto V has completely remained securely top to properly put the sheer, immense, and staggering massive scale of this unprecedented corporate market dominance into proper historical perspective. The game has officially and verifiably sold staggering copy amounts, 195 million individual digital retail copies as of the highly lucrative financial year of 2020. 4, absolutely completely dominating the global cultural internet zeitgeist, firmly making it officially mathematically the second best-selling video game. It sits humbly and securely only behind massive block Minecraft, but in terms of sheer total dollar revenue successfully extracted, it is the absolute undisputed global heavyweight financial entertainment champion, dwarfing every single highly funded corporate physical product ever attempted. The total global revenue completely officially estimated for this single piece of highly violent digital entertainment has officially crossed billions. The absolute staggering historical financial mark of $8 billion, making it significantly more commercially profitable than highest grossing movies like Gone with the Wind, completely and utterly mathematically, proving that highly addictive digital intangible assets are massive new gold. The incredibly wealthy people sitting at the absolute corporate top of Take-Two. Interactive saw their public stock violently skyrocket as highly educated. Wall Street investors rapidly realized brilliant software. Developers at Rockstar had miraculously created totally unprecedented digital products that simply never ever stops aggressively paying massive quarterly dividends, a completely closed digital economic ecosystem that entirely survives vanity. These are deeply dedicated players who are completely, totally happy to blindly fund the massive parent company. Quarterly corporate profits, one totally useless and highly overpriced digital purchase, at time completely sacrificing their own actual real-world material. Financial wealth to desperately look incredibly wealthy and highly successful inside simulation. A completely simulated and strictly controlled digital online virtual environment that will eventually inevitably be completely shut down, permanently erased, when the massive corporate company simply decides it is time the violent and highly satirical video game has become absolute global cultural touchstone and an unprecedented massive financial corporate juggernaut that entirely permanently redefined what successful global entertainment products look permanently and irrevocably, moving traditional corporate goalposts from cinematic weekends to a completely perpetual global money stream that requires constant psychological community maintenance, but undeniably offers infinite financial massive rewards, where a single massive global corporation can aggressively, systematically earn massively more raw, untaxed financial money from a decade old. Highly outdated piece of simulated digital software originally designed older than most small developing independent nations can possibly hope earn from their entire annual physical national manufacturing output, proving staggering and highly terrifying macroeconomic scale of completely unregulated digital economy. This absolutely massive and entirely unprecedented historic financial success created a highly unique and completely ironic corporate problem, because when you have a massive live service online game making hundreds of millions of dollars a single year legally, there is absolutely very little corporate financial incentive to actually take risks and release a totally new physical sequel, leading to agonizing and highly frustrating 12-year developmental gap between major installments. The incredibly loyal and highly dedicated fans are completely left desperately waiting and constantly begging online for brand new experiences. While the massive digital money just continues to effortlessly pour directly into the extremely wealthy corporate offshore accounts, proving that in the highly ruthless world of high-stakes video games, the absolute most successful and brilliant strategic move is often just to aggressively keep continuously milking the exact same cow. You essentially keep aggressively milking that digital cow until exhausted and entirely financially drained. Global audiences finally completely stop eagerly handing over their incredibly hard-earned real-world cash entirely for fake digital shark cards, which absolutely effectively means passionate internet fan bases strictly held hostage by terrible spending habits, literally funding precise corporate delays of exact, highly anticipated sequels. The totally insane and highly lucrative historical story of Grand Theft Auto V is absolutely not just simple narrative story. It is much deeper, significantly terrifying cautionary tale about capitalism, the absolute ruthless systematic evolution of modern digital unregulated capitalism in the heavily hyper-connected internet age where absolute most highly valuable and heavily contested real estate in entire world is the brightly glowing interactive digital screen located exactly 2 small feet in front of your highly addicted human face, and where your deep underlying psychological desire for absolute digital social status and immense artificial global online simulated networking power can be completely, entirely ruthlessly turned into massive, highly liquid, multi-billion-dollar unregulated corporate financial empires, without you absolutely ever actually owning a single, solitary physical object or highly valuable tangible asset in the actual real physical world today. So the very next time you happen to see a cinematic trailer for a highly anticipated Hollywood blockbuster movie on television, or hear excitedly on radio about massively popular pop star selling out enormous physical stadium for global musical world tours, deeply clearly remember the completely insane 3-day billion-dollar financial milestone that Rockstar Games casually hit full decade ago, and fundamentally precisely realize that the absolute biggest terrifying untracked money in the entire global entertainment world is quietly hiding, completely entirely in plain sight inside highly addictive digital video games that you casually play every single day without knowing. Wealthy corporate gaming executives entirely lied when they humbly repeatedly said they were just making a fun, interactive digital game. They were actually scientifically, meticulously building absolute most highly efficient digital wealth extraction device ever conceived and created, dominating markets. If this massive, highly intense historical deep dive into absolute $8 billion global digital empire of Grand Theft Auto and the incredible, completely destructive psychological madness of digital microtransactions completely violently fired you up about properly deeply understanding modern massive digital fortunes are truly structurally built and violently totally extracted from the public, then smash that digital like button. Share this educational video with every single highly smart friend. Remember, the most expensive game you legally play is free.